Hey everyone, welcome back to another Bookmas video. And today we are going to be talking about every place that I visited in 2023. So you may be thinking, Katie, when did you travel? Where did you go? I traveled around the world in books. So today we are going to be talking about all of the settings that I have visited through books. I am so excited for this video. This has been in the works for most of the year since I decided to do this challenge. So I have visited as many countries as I could, as well as visited as many of the US states as I could. Now, I am doing this challenge again next year, so I'm very excited to see if I can do more. I'm not going to start off like where I stopped this year. I'm going to start right from the beginning again. So I have no duplicates here. I really tried hard to make sure that these books were set in these specific places, no duplicates. Well, I mean, I did read duplicates, obviously, but I did not keep track of how many times I visited one place. Okay, so should I do countries or states first? Let's do countries first. I feel like, that way we can work worldwide, and then we traveled continental and internationally. I think that's the terms for it. So I have my giant list here of all the places that I visited. So country-wise, I visited quite a few states. So I will put the book cover here as well, because I mean, I do own quite a few of them, but it would take me forever to find them. So I do apologize for that. Okay, so let's go ahead and do countries first, since we visited those. I actually visited quite a few countries in the beginning of the year. Okay, so I actually have these alphabetized, which is awesome. So the first place I visited, I went to Barbados, British Ghana, and Trinidad. All three of these places I visited in the book River Sing Me Home by Eleanor Shearer. Loved it. It was so good. Historical fiction. Highly recommend it. It was so good. So yes, 3 different countries in one book. That was great. Next one, I visited Prince Edward Island in Canada, and that was The Last Way Home by Liz Johnson. Then I traveled to the Yukon in Canada. I kind of took different districts of Canada. So like if there was different districts of Canada, I put them in there as well. So Yukon, Canada, I traveled through Remember Me by Tracy Peterson. Next, I went to Cuba, and I traveled there in the book The Bluest Sky by Cristina Diaz-Gonzalez. Next I went to Egypt, and I went through the book Counted with the Stars by Connellan Cossette. I actually visited Egypt quite a few times this year. Next country I went to England and Austria in the book The Secret Society of Salzburg by Renee Ryan. Next place I went to Germany in the book The School for German Brides by Amy K. Runyon. Then I went to India, kind of not a cheat, but it was the Archies in India. That was the title of the Archie comic book, and it was set in India, so it worked. And then I went to the upper part of Africa, visited in Of Fire and Lions by Misu Andrews. Next, I went to Ireland in The Maid of Ballymagul by Jennifer Dybel. Next, I traveled to modern-day Israel, and that was in Isaiah's Legacy by Misu Andrews. Then I went to Rome in Echoes in the Darkness by Francine Rivers. So that was Rome/Italy. Next was New Zealand, and I traveled there in Dawn Raid by Pauline Valuega Smith. And these are great ideas too. If you want to do this challenge, I'm giving you a whole bunch of book recommendations that I read, so it works out great. And then I went to the Philippines and Japan in the book The Long March Home by Marcus Brotherton and Tosca Lee. Then I went to Poland in the Warsaw Sisters by Amanda Barrett. That was one I recently just finished, so it was nice to add another country onto my list. Next was Prague in the book The Ghosts of Rose Hill by R.M. Romero. Next, I went to Romania in I Must Betray You by Ruta Sepades. And some of these places might have had like 2 or 3 countries, but I needed like one country more than the other one, so I put that in. Okay, then I went to Scotland/France in The Rose and the Thistle by Laura France. Next, I went to Sweden and Denmark in The Sound of Light by Sarah Sundin. And that's it. That's it for countries. So I visited, 25 different countries through books. That's how many I visited. 25. Wow. That's a lot of countries. Yes, there are more than 100 plus countries around the world, but those are the ones that I visited. We can also count the US, that's 26. Okay, so let's go ahead and go through all the states that I went through. So I just finished two. So I haven't added it to my list of states, but I do have them listed. They are not alphabetized, those first two, since I just completed them. But I went to Alabama through Letters from My Sister by Valerie Fraser Lessey. And then I also went to Missouri and Into the Fire by Irene Hannon. So I do have my reading journal here. I don't have my countries written out here. That's something I have to do before the end of the year and my reading journal flip through. But I do have my states. I just haven't marked the last two. So I did this, which I think is so much fun. So I found a blank map of the US, and no, I do not know where my states are. But I found one that had words, so I was able to find the states. I used to know where they are. I was actually very good at my puzzle maps when I was a little girl. But yeah, so these are all plus two that I have to add in my reading journal, which I love. And I also did it by genre. So purple means contemporary, so there was a lot. Green is middle grade. Let's see, blue is historical. Pink is mystery. I only have one pink. Oh, will I have one more? I'll have one more. And then what was orange? Apparently I didn't decide to add any orange. And then yellow was dual timelines. Well, a lot of dual timeline ones in there. But yeah, so I just have to write them down and I'm good to go. So, all right, let's see where we traveled. I already told you the first two. So let's see. Okay, so now we're going alphabetical. I went to Arizona in Insignificant Events in the Life of a Cactus by Dusty Bowling. Love that book. I went to Arkansas in Her Christmas Redemption by Toni Shiloh. I went to California in Bridge of Gold by Kimberly Woodhouse. I went to Colorado in With Every Memory by Janine Roche. I went to Connecticut in Ginger Pie by Eleanor East. Just finished. Did I finish that one recently? No, that was an older one. I went to Florida in Unspoken by Angela Hunt. I went to Idaho in Before I Called You Mine by Nicole Deese. I went to Illinois in Dear Henry, Love Edith by Becca Kinzer. I went to Kansas in Roots of Wood and Stone by Amanda Wen. I went to Louisiana in Under the Bayou Moon by Valerie Fraser Lessey. She's great for those southern states. You can get a lot out of those books of hers. I went to Mackinac Island, which technically is part of Michigan. Yeah, so technically it is, but like it's a separate island, so I think that's why I added it. Technically it's not a state, it's just an island off of a state. But I went to Mackinac Island in Lilac Cottage by Carrie Fensett Pagels. And then I went to Maryland and Hawaii in This Moment by Gabrielle Mayer. Then I went to Massachusetts in 12 to 22 by Jen Kalonita. I went to Michigan in Everything is Just Beginning by Erin Bartels. I went to Mississippi and Wisconsin in the book Leaving Lyman by Lisa Klein Ransom. Then I went to Montana in The Heart's Choice by Tracy Peterson and Kimberly Woodhouse. Then I went to New York in Class Act by Jerry Craft. Lots of books set in New York. Then I went to North Carolina in the book The Heart of the Mountains by Pepper Basham. She has lots of books set in North Carolina. And then I went to Oklahoma in The Best Summer of Our Lives by Rachel Hauck. Then I went to Oregon, and for that one, I read Second Time Around by Melody Carlson. I went to Pennsylvania in A Lady of High Regard by Tracy Peterson. Then I went to Rhode Island, and I read A Match in the Making by Jen Turano. Then I went to South Carolina and Georgia in The Counterfeit Legacy by Kay Moser. Then I went to Tennessee. I put Tennessee in other places. But that was for the book The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane by Kate DiCamillo. And then I went to Texas in Off the Chain by Janice Thompson. And then I went to Virginia/England. Oh, did I not put England in? What? Well, if I didn't, this is another England. But Virginia/England in When the Day Comes by Gabrielle Mayer. Then I went to Washington State, also besides Yukon, Canada, in Remember Me by Tracy Peterson. Then I went to West Virginia. Oh, and I also went to Australia. I forgot to put that in my countries. I went to West Virginia and Australia in the book A Girl's Guide to the Outback by Jessica Kate. And that's it. So let's see how many states I visited. Looks like 31 out of the 50 states. No, 33 out of the 50 states. No, I did not count Mackinac Island. So I visited 33 out of the 50 states. That is amazing. That's way more than half. And I did, I did really good, surprisingly. I wanted to do all 50 states. Maybe next year. Next year we'll try, and it'll be really fun to see how far we can get. I'd like to at least have one year where I visit all 50 states. But honestly, we did good. 33 countries and however many, or I mean 33 states and however many countries I said I visited. So that was a lot of fun. I just thought this would be kind of a fun video. If you do this challenge as well, it'll give you ideas for books to add to your challenge next year. And yes, I will be doing it again. I love anything travel themed, and if I can add travel and books together, it is just a happy marriage, that is. So I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all tomorrow for the next Bookmas video.